Um, how are you? Thanks for making time. It's late there, correct?
It's not so bad. It's 6:30 in Poland,
All
so
right, good,
it's
good, good.
late afternoon. The weather is great today. It's beautiful sunshine outside, so it feels like the middle of the day.
I love it there. I love it there.
Yeah, it's good.
Uh, Congratulations. You got the prettiest country in Europe. So, I love
Oh, thank you.
it. Yeah.
Have you ever been in Poland?
Yeah, short period. I've been through Europe a few times doing study abroads and things like that. So I lived in the Czech Republic for a little while.
Oh, it's
And
very close to me. Yeah, to my area.
yeah, and then just in college and stuff, did the whole your rail pass thing where just going around. So I'm excited to talk to you about this. With our team, I'm always going, look, I want to talk to people who are doing really interesting things. And I'm very selfish in this sense. I'm basically a few months ago laying awake, not able to sleep in bed one night and just going like, I don't know. And I don't think I trust anyone who says that they know what this world looks like in 5 to 10 years. And I was trying to think, like, at least for my own personal self, I have seen and interacted with AI, and I have seen it do things that are as good at me as at my job. I can explain what I do, I think, well enough to basically get my own existing output out of an AI system with a handful of tools enabled. I'm going, no, we're there. You can connect to the data sources I use to make decisions. I can describe my decisioning hierarchy well enough uh, that I think I could actually automate a pretty significant portion of
Hmm.
my job. And that doesn't mean that I go away, but I was trying to go, well, what does my job look like if I have that tool set? And a big part of what I learned and kind of thought about from our perspective at Wrench, we're a data heavy data science organization going back 10 years. We've been doing innovation strategy, go to market strategy, lead scoring, things like that to personalize content with the intent and just knowing that one of those fun little facts that I came across maybe 15 years ago is that the best salespeople asked the most questions. They didn't talk the
Okay.
most. You go, well, so you learn from that. They were the best listeners. They did the most research. So I go, the people that actually adapted their conversation to their audience did the best. And I've always been a very data driven individual, and I've always surrounded myself with very data driven people. And in building the kind of what does our world look like, we found that like we were more technical and more data driven than a ton of teams out there. There's a lot of teams that use tools. The people that hired us and continued to hire us were largely because they were large organizations where they were like, look, I can't afford to guess. I'll lose my job. Someone, I have the money and there's enough money at stake that we're going to actually really do the research here. And I went, well, good. Like, for the most part, in its simplest form, people called us and talked to us and kept us around because we tended to know a little bit more than them. We gave them an out, right? So if something went wrong, they went, look, like at the fire them if anything, but I did my homework, right? So I may have gotten the wrong answer, but at least I did everything I could to prevent it. And I realized that like one of the more interesting and future proof paths that would be interesting would be in AI governance. The jobs that aren't going away, yeah, they're the ones where people demand a face to face human, but they're also the ones where there has to be a signatory and someone that actually signs off on verifying that something actually did happen. You have a couple situations in the recent history of agentic AI where the agent went off and like blackmailed or slandered somebody and no one knows, well, like, who do you hold at fault? The agent kind of took this
Yeah.
back on its own. Who's the problem? Like, well, at least for that reason, I think people will continue to demand face-to-face interactions, and if something really goes wrong, they do want to be able to fire somebody at some point, and there's some validity there. If you're going to school, what does school look like? I'm like, well, a ton of them I could argue like you don't necessarily need that degree, but if you have to get a certificate to do your job like a doctor, yeah, that one probably stays around, right? So we need the certificates, we need the regulatory stuff. And for that reason, I went, can we go look deeper at governance? We deal with it a lot. People hit us up for ours a lot. And I know most of the time when I would talk to people and they would say, like, hey, how do I pick a vendor? One of the fastest things I would tell them was like, show them, like, demand that you see the governance and the decisioning hierarchies and how those tools make decisions behind the scenes. Most of the time you'll get a blank stare, And you'll know immediately, like, all right, they got a chat GPT wrapper going on. Um, ask to see your logs and activity or ROI reports. I go, this is how you can very easily separate the wheat from the chaff on a really good contractor or vendor or not. And it's so for one of those reasons where I just went, all right, we've all seen cool tools. Been there, done that. I've seen a lot of smoke and mirrors too. Most of the time when I go behind the scenes and look at it, like it's not nearly as cool as it looks in that demo. And again, for that reason, this is the longest wind up I've ever done in terms of like the stage. In short, that is the reason I was going, all right, we got to go talk to some more people around AI governance, ethics, and the regulatory environment, as it's going to be more and more important, not less and less important. I don't think people are going to be able to skate over it as like, oh, no, 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 that's just holding us up. It's like, no, 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 no. This is going to be separating the products that really work versus the ones that don't. And right now, there's a lot that don't.
Exactly.
So I wanted to talk to you.
Amazing. I want to talk to you too.
I think that everyone else should want to talk to you as well. I wanted to know, obviously, AI governance, AI ethics, legal risk on emerging technology. You are in the thick of it, European business environment specifically, correct?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, all correct.
I wanted to hear what you are seeing in this space, what you're watching, and what's kind of capturing your attention with all of this stuff going on. There has to be more activity, kind of getting focused into this space, especially as there's more and more news every day on, all right, what are we actually all building here?
Yeah. So I think very important thing, and really you said that, is that we should ask questions because there is plenty of product. This is also what I observe, that are very well packed and were very well presented. I mean, AI product or AI systems, yeah, but they don't really work, or they don't have proper AI governance behind implemented. So this is what I observe also in legal tech, because I'm a technical, a new tech lawyer, let's say. So I also have a little bit of technical knowledge, and I try to be good enough in technical issues to understand how the technology works. And I observe that this is the main problem. If something looks nice, but if I ask a question, okay, but where you stored your data, or my data, really, if I put some data inside this system, and they say, we use Google Cloud. I'll say, okay, but where is the server? Yeah, so okay, we'll have to check that. Oh, what kind of model you use in your tool? Because usually there are, these big models like GPT or Cloud or whatever, yeah, from big techs, really. And so this is right, what you said before. So we people who wants to check, not only lawyers but also business owners, for example, should ask a lot of questions, how it really works from the governance point of view, from the ethics point of view, legal point of view. And this is one thought that came to me after your introduction. And the other is that I really appreciate the European Union approach to ethics and regulation. I know there is a lot of talking that it's too much, that it's unnecessary, that it's a big burden for the business. But, it's not entirely true. This is the only part of the truth, because people very often don't know what's going on. So they know that there is something like AA Act, but they don't understand that AA Act, 90% or more than 90% of the regulation provisions of the AA Act concerns only high-risk AI systems. And so most of the systems in the market, like probably more than 80%, it's not high risk. So, and it's not regulated by AA Act. Of course, there are other regulations like Data Act, GDPR, of course. So, but there are some much smaller regulations that we thought.
Can you tell me a little bit about each of those, just for people that haven't heard the names before? The AI Act, GDPR, stuff like that. Can you review those
Yeah.
really quickly?
Yeah, sure. So GDPR is the oldest one, I can say. This is General Data Protection Regulation in EU, and this is about protecting the privacy of people. It's technologically neutral, so it does not matter if you process your personal data or somebody else's personal data on your computer or a normal IT system or in the AI system. You have to follow some rules, but it's about the some kind of technology, because if you just process personal data in paper documents, there's no issue really with GDPR. But well, who process personal data today? Not in the computer, not in the IT system. And there are some obligations for entrepreneurs because it's mainly about business and also some public institutions. But not going too much to details, uh, there are some obligations for data controllers, like among others, inform that they collected and they process your personal data. How they process it, for what purpose, on what legal basis, if they transfer this data to other countries or not, what's the right of the data subject, for example, right to be forgotten, right to have access to her or his data. So after almost 10 years of having this regulation in EU, we're really used to that, and I don't think we know how to use it. And it really improved the quality of data in general. So not only it protects the privacy, but also it improves data governance in companies, in organizations, and data quality in general. So I think it's quite important legal act. The other is Data Act. It's more fresh, let's put it like this. And it's about non-personal data mainly. It's about data produced by IoT devices. And in general, it's about sharing the data between entities in European Union. It's about building the data spaces. It's about sharing this data, build new services based on data. And of course, it supports building AI systems in Europe. And AI Act, yeah, it's about, of course, artificial intelligence. Uh, it's mainly, as I said, about high-risk AI systems. So the systems that are, let's say, that may be dangerous uh, for life, health, or for human rights. So systems used in critical infrastructure, a system used in medicine, in education, in employment, in public services. So I think this is important to regulate that, because we don't want to be, let's say, profiled by the police, and uh, and then we don't want the police decide, she looks very suspicious, and her profile suggests that she may be a psycho killer.
Yeah.
So they put me into the jail because of this profile. Yeah, we don't want that. We want to avoid such situation. I know I exaggerate a little bit,
Sure,
but
sure, sure.
this is
But
it.
no, like there are real examples from history that make it a very real concern, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit like a Minority Report. Yeah, so this
Yeah.
is this is not allowed in EU. We have also some other, let's say, prohibited practices in AI, which are described, regulated in this AI Act, like large-scale monitoring, manipulation, social scoring, uh, and probably soon it will be one more, like generating non-consensual sexualized content, which is very important, I think, as we see on the
Mhm.
market.
One of the ones that's really interesting that you see, the social credit system out of China. Um, I mean, I've heard, I don't know if I want to call them conflicting reports, but I mean, I've seen pictures. It's one of these things where I'm at the point where I'm just like, I don't know what I believe online just because of it's so easy to create and repurpose things to be so many different things. But talking about like basically their social credit system was established and kind of gotten to the point where if you are deemed a high risk individual, they basically kind of shut off your bank account. You can't
Exactly.
basically operate in the economy, right? It's a very real and significant risk to your well-being and just general life, not even just your profession. You can't get jobs, you can't buy rent houses, whatever. Eric Anderson, I believe from Google, talks a lot about like the danger and the challenge that we're in, where call it a race to the bottom, where I mean from their perspective they go like, hey, so we have the EU that arguably has probably the most consumer protections. We have the United States, which is clearly more lax than that. And then we have like China, Asia, which is more, I don't know if I want to say lax, more open than that. And to some extent, I hear the argument made that, but there is a price of innovation that comes with this. Like to some extent, you're dealing with a situation where, call it an adversary or whatever, but they're going, just as a heads up, like we may not be using facial recognition in the United States, but China still is. And they have more people, more faces, more other things to actually work with. They have a larger data set. Just because we're not using it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't and can't use it on us. And to some extent, some of these technologies are almost worth developing, even just to counteract them. Where again, like the price of abstaining from that data becomes equally dangerous in its own way. It's like just because we're not participating doesn't mean we don't get wet in the rain. What do you kind of think when you hear that argument made? Like, okay, yeah, no, maybe. Is it naive?
Well, it's difficult to answer this because you're partially right. This approach you presented, it's partially justified, but uh, I think we should be responsible for what we do. So I don't support such approach that, okay, it does not matter what we do because China anyway will use, not controlled or dangerous AI that infringe humans' right. I think we are responsible for our own, courtyard. Let's put it like this. So I'm proud of being European Union citizen because I think there's a big uh, focus on human rights in EU, and especially in this very unstable time we have now. Uh, we should, try at least to, at least try and do our best to protect ourselves from big techs, from big businesses, and from governments who are too uh, much, let's say, involved, that want to monitor us, that want to control us. So maybe now, when we talk, it's now is the time probably which is not the best time for mm, that approach like EU has, because there's a lot of nationalism, there are wars in the world. But on the other hand, I think it will all pass by at some point, and we still have to come back to these values. And that's why I believe in ethics, in law, in regulation. Of course, it's not like something uh, that is the most important, the regulation, but it can reflect some value and it can protect some values. So I can say it does not matter if I, uh, let's say, protect the environment or not because other people don't. But I believe that I'm responsible for my own life, for my own activities. So I do my best to protect the environment. And I think if everybody thinks that, the world would be a much better place, not
Yeah,
only in the context of technology.
yeah. I do like that. What are the situations when someone kind of comes to you to like, hey, I'm seeking out, what are they typing into the search bar? Or what are they looking for usually where your name pops up? What type of services and types of things are they asking for? Are they going, hey, will you please validate our use case or verify a method of handling data? What are they typically coming to you for? What types of questions?
Mhm. So I've been working quite hard for my position now, and the position of AI lawyer, let's say one of the most recognized AI lawyers in Poland. So I'm very happy to be at this position because I do what I love to do. And I really like my job. I really enjoy these problems I deal with. And there are mainly, let's say, two types of clients I have. One, they are business clients, and they have, for example, a lot of data that they collected for ages, and now they want to do their own AI system. And they come to me and ask, okay, we have a lot of data, we have great ideas, what to do with them. We want to build our AI system, but we don't know how to do that to be in line with regulations. So help us to do that. Help us to design the process, to design the business model, and to create some, of course, documentation and to meet some regulatory requirements if needed. The other type is also people who, it's similar, but they are building IoT devices, for example, or applications connected with these devices, or quite interesting internet digital services, and they need my help again to design it properly according to the law, to make it transparent, to make it user friendly, and of course, legal. So I participate in that process from the very beginning, and this is the best type of work with my clients. But I'm also ethics advisor in EU funded projects, and this is the other thing I do, and this is more and more something that I want to do uh, because there are even more interesting problems, ethics, law, technology, all mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
I learn a lot. My job, my work is also constant learning. And probably for some people it may be disadvantage, but for me it's a great thing. I love to learn. I love to uh, understand more and more how it works. I'm curious person, so maybe that's why. And so in EU funded projects, I also take part from the beginning. So I help them to uh, to produce, let's say, ethics framework for the project, and then we check if it's if what we want to produce in this project, if what we want to achieve in this project is aligned with this EU values of trustworthy AI, because we have something like trustworthy AI guidelines in EU. This is very interesting document, I have to say. I know that there is a lot of such documents like ethical AI, trustworthy AI, but this is very well prepared. I read plenty of that kind of documents, but this is really well prepared, and this is still something that I use in my everyday work, even if it's from 2020, I think. So it's not like very fresh, but it's still so. So yeah, and then my job and my joy also is to translate this quite abstract, values like fairness, diversity, explainability, transparency, to specific use cases, to specific uh, use.
Hear those terms a lot. We use them ourselves, but I'm curious, how do you go through and kind of define them? They're you know, like, I know what people oftentimes say, but how do you think about and go through that process? So say I'm doing one, real life example, like a lot of organizations that we speak to are just talking about doing AI adoption, and generally they're dealing kind of with, hey, all of our employees are using AI, just their own personal accounts, and we want to see bring them in house. If you were to apply that kind of framework, how do you think about, all right, here's how we kind of establish the transparency and the observability and things like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I give you an example. Maybe it will be probably the best. In one of the projects I work for, Extra Brain Project, when we develop a neuromorphic neural network for different kind of uh, applications, it's very interesting itself. We have a use case, a robotics use case. So one of the partners develops rescue robots, and at the beginning of this journey, they asked me, but we do robots. We don't. I, what kind of ethics we need to apply to these robots that will be, let's say, on the place of the earthquake, and they will be looking for victims, for people that are buried there. And I said, "Well, plenty. For example, what kind of data you have, what kind of training data you have. Well, we have data from our university. So they are people who data their images, pictures, little videos to teach this robot how to recognize a person. Yeah. And I said, okay, what is the diversity in this data? Mm, Not a lot of diversity, mainly white men in the middle age, you know. So I said, okay, so if the robot will see the victim, it will be recognizing maybe in other way. If the robot will see the object, it will recognize only white male. No. So if it were, and what if it will be black woman? So we started to discuss from that point of view that, okay, so diversity and fairness is important from the very beginning, even in such a very technical use case. Yeah. So we started to talk, of course, about possibility to generate synthetic data, what kind of requirements the synthetic data have to meet, that kind of things. And of course, the other issue was the transparency. So it's also very context dependent, all of these things, because we are thinking, okay, so uh, now we have to establish who will be the beneficiary of this transparency. So do we want to give this transparency to, let's say, uh, regulatory bodies if they want to audit, control what you do? Of it should be, or it should be just transparency for the operator of the robot, because the operator must understand what the robot does, and if the robot found a victim or not, or maybe some other circumstances occurred. So we had to establish different levels of transparency and explainability also. So this it will be different kind of transparency and explainability for the data scientist, then for the robot operator, and then, for example, for the regulatory body, uh, which will be conducting, let's say, legal audit at some point in the life cycle. And yeah, in other use cases, we're developing different kind of explanation tools, like heat maps, like sharp methods, like lime methods. So technical methods, but also adjusted. Each of this explainability method has to be adjusted to the audience, to the addressee of the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to say, okay, so this rule, like I don't know, fairness or diversity or transparency, explainability, we translate into that kind of checkbox. No, it's always context dependent. So you need to understand the use case, you need to understand the context, you need to understand uh, the addressee, or the person who will be using this technology, and then try to translate it into practice.
Find I mean, you mentioned a few things there that are almost just in many cases hard and good business practices. And like again, like what you're talking about is like, hey, let's adapt this to the audience. And you're going, well, and in many cases, you're like, you damn well better. It's already hard enough to get a lot of these systems to work where without kind of, I mean, you in a, phrase differently, it's almost like customer empathy. It's like basically like, well, who's using it? What do they need to do? Do they need to make sure? Like in many cases, they're just good business sense. And apologies in advance, but I will say that I've been on calls before where people talk about like the ethics and the regulation being an obstruction to progress, right? And
Yeah.
in many cases, I think there's that potential Goldilocks zone that people are always looking for, where they go, how do we connect the underlying business value? Because oftentimes it's like insurance and things like that, where you potentially oftentimes don't understand the value of what you're paying for until it's already too late, so to speak. It's like you can't go get insurance when you've already got the diagnosis. At least here in the U.S., we have to deal with that one. But the ability to like prevent the ethics and regulatory conversation to either become an empty branding exercise where you're going, like, you've seen people in the US, I've seen news headlines from people from the ethics side of projects just quit, just going like, look, we don't have any impact on this project. And or saying it like, hey, it's become kind of an obstruction. Does it, in practice, how often does it live between those two? Is that a real kind of, am I accurate in that kind of observation of like, yeah, that's the challenge in which we kind of play between? We need to kind of be an enabler and also make sure that we can help kind of demonstrate the value so we can get to profitability before we have that event that actually destroys all profitability as well.
Yeah.
How often do they have those conversations internally? Is it something that like, hey, every day type of thing? Like, is it?
It is changing, I think. So, like a few years ago, when I started to deal with AI in my profession, really, because before it was more in academia or research, but a few years ago it started to appear in business more and more, and also it's been like 6 years, I think, when from when I've been working for EU funded project. So at the beginning, it was really lack of understanding why legal or ethics advisor is needed, why we need to follow any of these rules is difficult enough. So why multiplicate some burdens for us? So it was that kind of approach, and it was something more like checkbox, like exercise to do, but mm, left aside a little bit. So it wasn't a real need to introduce this ethics, legal aspects into the project. And of course, it's still like this in many cases. I know mm, big big companies, people from big companies that tell me, oh, yes, you can see our, let's say, diversity policy or our AI policy. It looks amazing. We are so correct, yeah, with all this ethics. But then you see what they do and how they deal with people and how they deal with their AI, and you see that it's all bullshit.
It's a show.
Yeah. It's a shell, yeah. So it's good PR maybe that we care, but we really don't care. But it is changing, in my opinion. At least people who come to me, they really care. I, I have impression that they really want to show that their products or services are not only robust, safe, and well working, of course, but also uh, mm, user friendly in a wide meaning, that they respect your rights, that they are transparent, that they follow some values, they follow some rules, and they want to use it as a uh, mm, advantage, market advantage. They want people, they want consumers trust them, and they really think that this is important to build this trust, to build long-term relationship with consumers.
Ultimately, what do you think kind of the biggest gap between kind of the public AI talk and real implementation is in practice? Like, what do companies get wrong about their understanding of it most of the time?
Mm, yeah, there is this gap still. You're right, and I think partially it's because companies they want to show off. They want to show that they use AI. They are so modern that they go forward with technology, with new solutions that they are, worth to work with. But really, the word you used before, a shell. This is only a shell. So they don't build real competences inside the company. So they buy a product or they build a product, but there is only small group of people in the company that understand that or deal with that, and there is no general mm, there's no general understanding in the company what is for, how it can help people, and there is not enough knowledge between people about the system itself, or about more more widely about the AI. So I think that companies just want to present some achievements, but they don't understand that real achievement and real implementation of technology is also to convince people, to teach people, starting with their own employees, what is this technology, what is for, how to safely use it, how to use it for the benefit for all.
What are your kind of concerns that you kind of see out there? Like if you're talking amongst the AI ethics community, if you will, what do they kind of speak to, and how are, like, what is the general tenor and energy coming from that kind of group? I mean, again, it's one where it's hard to watch. Maybe I watch too much of the wrong news, but I watch a lot of news and I just go, man, I think we're making a lot of mistakes and stepping on a lot of rakes. Right? We're doing this to ourselves in a very stupid way. What's the general kind of terror? What do you see in kind of the AI ethics community? What are we doing generally right and wrong, as a global community, if you will? Like, what are the big concerns and the big kind of pitfalls that the world is potentially about to deal with?
Hmm, good question, and quite difficult too, I have to say.
Fair,
But
sorry.
no problem. I love challenges. Uh, well, I would say the biggest concern, maybe maybe I can't represent, uh,
Sure, sure, sure,
ethics, ethicists
sure.
in the world, but let's
Spoken like
say
a true lawyer. Yeah, 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 yeah.
but I can talk. I can say something about it. I think so. The one of the biggest concern is the transparency, explainability problem, because the biggest, the most popular AI systems and AI models are black boxes still, and
Yeah.
this is common knowledge. We all know that, yeah, and even creators of these tools, they know that too, and they admit that. So this is, big concern, because if we want AI do a lot of things for us, uh, including deciding about our health, including deciding about our legal situation, let's say, about putting somebody to the jail or not. If they, if the system may decide about migration, asylum, about weapons, yeah,
Yeah.
this is also the problem, about the about who will be killed and where, and we don't know how it works, and we don't know how is the decision process going on inside or behind.
Hmm.
This is the big issue, because if this is only a problem of uh, mm, LLM, that I ask LLM to generate some text for me, and it generates this text, and then I discover there's plenty of mistakes there. So okay, I can correct it, use it or not use it. This is not a problem. This is not high risk. But in these areas I just mentioned, this is high risk, and this is very very big problem to not understand what we create really. So this transparency, this explainability, this is the issue, and it's not only in these big areas like public health or war, but it's also about decisions in employment, if to hire somebody or not, if to fire somebody or not. So there are decisions that impact our lives. But the good thing, because I don't want to be too pessimistic, is that we people, we are really good in inventing uh, mm, ways to solve problems, especially if we have the problem and if the need appears. And this need don't have to be, this need may be created by law, for example. So I at the beginning, even with cookies, with this tracking tools, cookies, pixels, it was a big deal how to properly inform, how to collect consent for processing data by uh, mm, these tools. Uh, and then all of a sudden, a lot of companies started to produce quite simple and very useful tools how to manage this cookies. This is maybe much simpler than AI. But if we talk about transparency, explainability, uh, there is also a big uh, mm, part of research, XAI, explainable AI, and people dealing with that, they find out better and better methods to explain AI decisions. And even we still have black boxes, these deep neural networks, they probably will never be transparent, fully transparent, but we have enough good, and we will have better even methods to explain some main factors that are crucial to understand the decision. Because you don't have to, or I or you probably, you let's say, if you are refused, if some public services are refused, they are not available for you because I don't know, because AI decided that you are not qualified to these services.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you need? What kind of explanation you need? You need the explanation why and what you have to change to have access to this service. Yeah. And you don't need to know how the algorithm works. You need the reasoning, let's put it like this. So I think that this is the direction we should go towards. You, so, and again, probably contextual, have a context to what we need and what we want to protect. So don't get mad and try to explain everything. Uh, don't go mad and open all black boxes or make it transparent. Just try to achieve the goal, and I think this is what we are trying to do. Mm, for some reasons, to protect like human rights, for example. And this is one of the examples. Probably there are many of that kind of things that they are about their diversity and fairness. They are more and more advanced tools to check data sets, to check algorithms if they don't have biases embedded, or if they don't produce biased results. Some tools for audits of algorithms. So as I always say that, I don't know if you have this saying in United States or in English in general, but we say that in Poland that the need is the mother of invention.
Yeah, yeah. Out of curiosity, as a lawyer, what are your favorite tools to use? And are there any tools that you will never touch with a 10-foot pole that you see everybody else using?
Well, in my job, I'm mainly advisor. So I mainly use tools, analytic tools, and tools good for discussion, and I use LLMs to to discuss with them some legal problems are really complicated, because what I face every day, really, or almost every day, there are some new legal problems that arise from, new regulations, or new technology. And it's not, I just can't go to the library, open the book and find the answer. I have to create the answer
Yeah.
somehow.
Well, and also LLMs by definition are pretty good at summarizing
Ex-
information, right? Like
yeah,
I don't
they're
worry about them doing that most of the time.
yeah, exactly. And I think about some kind of ideas. I check some articles, some information I can get from the internet, from databases, from my legal also databases. I put it all into LLM and I said, listen, I think this is the solution of the problem, but I have some doubts. This is my concern. This is my concern. What do you think about it? And then I have the answer. And then I say, I don't think so. I don't like your answer. This is not right because you didn't take into consideration this regulation or this provision. So explain me why you came to this conclusion. And and on and on and on. And this is like discussing with a partner. They are smart enough, if especially if you use like the business version and you use the RAG. So you put a lot of information inside the model, like legal acts, some scientific articles, and a lot of knowledge. If, look for the information in the internet only, because probably
Yeah.
it will be quite
Mhm.
crap.
Nice. Are there any other tools or any other providers that you just will tell everybody to avoid? Just like, hey, I've seen the terms and conditions or the privacy policies of that provider, just don't go near it. Are there any kind of, I don't know that I'd go so far as to call them bad actors, but there's a handful, a lot of like the manager or executive level, like, okay, here's what the decisioning hierarchy or the org chart or the handoffs and the orchestration looks like. So I know I have my kind of own opinion, and I will tell people largely like, I've tried to pull data out of that system. Don't go near it. It's a pain in the ass. I've heard from XYZ system and people that work there that it's held together with duct tape on the back end. Don't bother. Are there any others that you would suggest that people actually kind of avoid? Being aware, like, yeah, this is an opinion, of course.
Yeah, this is an opinion.
Uh,
Yeah, so well, I wouldn't recommend to use any Chinese tools, even if they may be
yeah,
effective, but they don't provide any safety of your data. And this is not acceptable. Not acceptable for me, and not acceptable for my clients, of course. And in general, even maybe I'm not a big fan of big techs, but I have to say that Google, for example, provides good services. They provide also possibility to have the server in the EU, so the data may be in the EU. It's the same with Microsoft, of course. It's I think from last month, or not long time ago, but OpenAI started to offer also this possibility to uh, allocate servers in EU. So in general, I don't recommend X tools like from the Elon Musk tools, but it's because of the values I represent. And
fair enough. Fair enough. Since you bring up kind of X, I'm just curious, who's your favorite person, thought leader wise? Who do you follow? Who do you think really has their kind of research right? Who's a good source of good information that you like to follow?
oh, this is even more difficult question. Well, I don't think that there's one person like this. I'm trying to be quite diverse. I mean, to use diverse sources to have the best knowledge I can have. So I read I read informations from different people all over the world. I will try to have my own views on
Sure.
most of the things.
Yeah.
So there's no one guru for me. It's rather more people, and I'm trying to understand how it works, having a lot of information from different sources.
Awesome. Awesome. Gabriela, where can people find you? How do they get in touch?
Well, I'm very active on LinkedIn, so I publish a lot. mm, I publish information about my conferences, about my podcasts. I publish some articles. I publish some information about law and ethics. So I think it's probably the best way to find me. And of course, I have quite nice website, I have to say. Two websites. One website as a lawyer and one website as an ethics advisor. And I also publish there some interesting materials. Not only, it's not only just I do this or this, but I try to convince people to come to me by my knowledge.
Awesome. Gabriela, thank you for your time. I hugely appreciate it. Thank you for staying late at work.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch for more.